Let me first ask what your take is on the Huawei showdown here. What kind of clash do you expect between the U.S. delegation, and there's a big one in Munich, the biggest, I think, since the conference began in 1969, and the Germans who need some of this technology? Right.
Well, we've got 55 American members of Congress, the Vice President coming, and there's going to be a full court press on this question of building the next generation networks here in Europe. Huawei is the issue. The Americans think this is a security threat, not only for state secrets, but also technology. So they're going to be pressing hard to try and keep the Germans from going in that direction, the Europeans from going in that direction. Of course, the Chinese are here as well, bringing a high-powered delegation, and they're going to be making the argument that this is all about free trade, and why shouldn't Chinese companies compete with the Americans? And if they're better, if they're cheaper, their technologies should win out. So that's going to be a big fight here. Whether it's in front of the cameras or behind the scenes, that's the interesting question.
On the other hand, the Germans have, or on another in another issue, the Germans also have built up a reliance on natural gas that they cannot cut themselves off of. And as a result, it seems, at least from President Trump's perspective, that they're willing to ignore any atrocity by the Russian leaders in order to get their gas with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Do you expect that to be an issue, or has that subsided?
No, the Nord Stream pipeline is still a major bone of contention between the Germans and the Americans. I think it's too hard to say that the Germans would ignore any atrocity. The Germans are really out in front on sanctions against Putin on the Ukraine issue. So they've been tough on Putin, but the word you're going to get from the Germans, I think, is diversity, diversification. They're going to say, we're going to build the pipeline, but we're going to build liquid natural gas facilities on the shore so that we can buy American fracking gas. So they're going to press diversity and suggest that that's the way forward for them, keeps them able to keep up a hard line against Putin if necessary.
Right. They have said they'll build two. Just a couple of days ago, said they'll build two LNG ports here in Germany to buy U.S. gas. What about the issue of a contribution to NATO? That's been a topic here for many years already, but it's starting to become more and more stark, the fact that Europe needs to have its own military force.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Europeans have come to realize that they cannot take American support for granted. You know, if you think back, the Obama administration was already, with its pivot to Asia, pulling some of its troops out of Europe, pulling some of the traditional American support for Europe defense back a bit, asking the Europeans to do more. Trump has only accelerated that. So the Europeans have got that message. Whether this 2% debate, which I think is becoming rather stale, it's just a bunch of a refrain that we all keep saying, whether the 2% debate really is the way to move forward, I don't know. I think the Europeans, though, are trying to go forward a bit. You'll see last week a major announcement by the French and the Germans on a next generation fighter aircraft, a multi-billion-dollar project. So there's some movement here, but expect members of Congress to ask the Europeans to do more. I think that's the message that they'll be bringing.
Will we still see such a large U.S. presence here? It's been announced, but they were saying, a lot of people, including Nancy Pelosi's office, it's dependent on whether or not there's a shutdown. Now it looks like that will be averted. Do you think we're going to have a slew of important congressional and military leaders here?
The word I got this morning about 6 o'clock in an SMS, a text message, was that they were on their way, but they were going to be late. They were, I guess, busy passing the budget resolution last night. So I think that the CODEL is coming. It's going to be a big group, and we'll see what they bring for a message.